So I met Strife when I was about 19, which is about 2 years before I started training with him. I had been like everybody here's, when they were growing up, they'd watching wrestling. That's all they wanted to do. Well, I spent a few years even before then trying to look up, where can I train? Where can I do this? Is there anything close? And I found Magnum, and so a good friend of mine who knew Joe DeSanti of all people, who would then go on to be my manager down the line in my career. He got me in contact with Joe so that I could get in contact with Nate, just to talk to him and even just a little bit to see kind of what steps I needed to take to be able to do this. And so I reached out to, I finally got in contact with Nate, and I reached out to him, and I said, hey, I don't have the funds to pay for training right now because I'm still in high school, but if I could just come and watch you train just one night, it'd be awesome if you'd let. And he was as ecstatic as he could be, like, yeah, come on down, and gave me his address, and we went, and they were training in his garage, and I got to sit there the whole time and just watch. And after it, he's like, hey, when you're ready, hit me back up, and we'll get you going. So 2 years later, I get my first ever tax or bonus from my work, and I said, oh, this is the exact amount I needed to train. So I hit Nate back up, and I met him out when he was working at Enterprise. I met him out at his office, and I gave him the money. And the next, I think it was 2 nights later, I was in his garage, the OG dojo, training with likes of Nikki Sant and Jack Darling and Teddy Mercury and all those guys. So it was during the summer, so I think Nikki said it best. It was just hours and hours of just trying to perfect every little bit. And that's what he would drive home to us, is just all the basics. Like, you just perfect the basics. And, I started out, we got to the point where we were talking about characters and doing work and stuff like that. And Nate was, he's always the kind of person to sit there, and he'll find the thing that he thinks is funny off of your character, and he'll say, you kind of look like this, you should do this gimmick. So we came up, I had some stupid aviator sunglasses, and I wore them into training one day, and he said, you look like that Mitch Hedberg comedian. That's your gimmick, that's what we're gonna do. So we did promo day, and I think it was probably the worst promo I've ever cut in my life. I called myself Mitch Hetfield instead of Hedberg, or it was James Hedberg at the time. There's a line of guys just laughing the whole time, and after that, I was kind of down on myself, and he came over to me and was like, hey man, like, don't be down on yourself, we're gonna find something that works for you. And then from then on, I think that one thing that Nate showed more, at least with me personally, was patience. He was probably the most patient person with me than anybody I've met since starting this. And there were so many times where he could have just given up on me and not help me and work with me and just moved on to the next guy, but he consistently would come back to me and try to help me out and do the best that he could to get me on the right path. I guess I had a couple of stories I could tell about Nate that I remember. One of them's really funny, and one of them's kind of bittersweet and somber, so I'll start with the funny one. It was my second or third year in, and this was back when he had moved out to Des Moines with Nikki, and we were we were going to Wisconsin, and we were swinging by to pick him up, Fowler up, and it was Fowler, Nate, Duke and Boston. We were all in the car, and of course I'm the greenest of the bunch, so I get bitch seat, get sitting between Fowler and Nate in the back seat, and I was recently privy to the fact that they purposefully, the whole ride, were spreading their legs as much as they could, giving me as little room as possible, and Nate, to keep it as PG as possible, I guess Nate was feeling a little sleepy, after some recreational activity, and he was he had a bag of Muddy Buddies that he was munching on, and he's just sitting there laughing at all the stories that we're talking about, and then all of a sudden I hear out of the corner of my in my ear, I hear snoring, and I look over and he's passed out, still in the bag of Muddy Buddies, just passed out on the ride, and then every so often he'd wake up and say, "That dude freaking sucks," and then pass back out with that, And so that's kind of the funny side of Nate that I got to know, and then the serious side, to get kind of the serious story. At the end of 2019, December 2019, I had a pretty bad accident in a MAGNUM ring. I fell and hit my head and had a pretty severe concussion. And I don't remember a lot from that night. There's bits and pieces that have come, over the years. But there's two people that I remember being there immediately. There was Nikki and there was Nate. And I don't remember a lot of things that people said to me during that time, but I remember Nate was there leaning over me, put his hand on my, grabbed my hand, and we sat there, and he said, "Hey, you good, buddy? You're gonna do all right. You're gonna be okay." And so do you hear these people cheering for you? They're cheering because they know that you're going to be back, and I know you're going to be back, and you're going to be better than ever. You're going to get there. And he just sat there with me for till they loaded me up in the ambulance, and he put, when I got on the stretcher, he of course he said, "Way to get the biggest pop of the night, you dick," and that's just kind of the flip. He always looked out for his kids, his people, and I can't thank him enough for giving me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. A lot of times I didn't deserve it, and he never gave up on me, allowing me to come back and train year after year. Didn't have to pay a dime. He just said, "Just help me out during class," and I get to help some of the younger guys who are coming around too, and I would have never thought that he would have trusted me with that. And there's a lot of things that I know now that I probably took for granted. A lot of great guys in the business that he gave me matches with. The first match I ever had as a Logan James, now Logan Uncaged, was a championship match against Duke Cornell in Grand Island. I got to wrestle Nate Red Wing, Donnie Pepper Cricket, Tony Cortez, Jaysin Slater, Justin Fowler, Nikki, all these guys that have really helped me throughout my career, and that was all thanks to Nate. And I guess the last thing I want to say that I want to say to him is, Nate, I didn't tell you enough how much you meant to me and how much of a father figure you were to me in this. And I'm going to continue to try to make you proud. And I love you. I love you very much. So thank you.